right. Hello, everybody. This is Explorers Podcast, episode 9. We're almost wrapped up with the first 10 episodes of the pod. And today I have a very special guest. Normally when I point, let's see, it's going to reverse it. So I don't know. My wife, Chynna McCarthy, formerly Chynna Blevins, my guest today.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here. You want to tell them where you're calling in from?
Yeah, I'm just down the hallway.
Chynna's like right outside my door in the living room.
Oh, can you hear the automatic cat feeder?
I could not.
Okay. Oh, well, hopefully it doesn't pick it up.
All right. So for all the watchers out there, a little bit about Chynna McCarthy, not just my wife and the mother of my baby boy, but Chynna has extensive experience with children in a number of different ways. She has done administrative work at public schools and Parks and Rec, among some other jobs involving children, worked as a teacher, teaching kids art lessons and other things, and as a caretaker towards kids. Really, I would say that it sounds like working with children is your forte in life. And I think that's a great place to start there. So that's a little introduction to Chynna and what she does, but also later on we'll be getting into her role within Dreamshark as well, because Chynna is absolutely fundamental to what makes Dreamshark what it is.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to start with your passion for children. Would you mind explaining to the audience when and where that started? Kind of what triggered that moment for you where you knew you wanted to help children?
Oh man, there's so many points to reference in life. I guess the main one that I always kind of refer back to is in elementary school. I like every child has like what they think they're going to be when they grow up. Like, oh, I'm going to be a veterinarian or a police officer. And I remember just having that typical answer, like, oh, I want to be a teacher. But I remember like just this moment where it was honed in a little bit more. And like, I had that moment of realizing a bit more specifically, not really what it is I wanted to do, but why I wanted to do something. And that was back in elementary school. And like every child has their childhood, or every person has their childhood to refer back to. But I feel like in elementary school, I was going through some things with family life in general. But I do remember at our elementary school, we had this school counselor who was just amazing. She was just so involved in each and every student, like making sure that they were recognized and that they felt like important, essentially. And not just with like children, but she was so involved in like the school in general and like the community in a broader sense. But seeing her work with other kids that were like my same age, and like I had this moment like watching her talk to another child, or basically like a friend of mine, and I saw like how she made them feel, and I remembered like how she always made me feel, and like really, really loving that. And I just felt like I wanted to be her, because I loved how like I loved what she did for others. And that's like, it really spoke to me, because like I felt like I was constantly wanting to care for my family members, whether it was like my sisters or like my cousins who were younger than me. So I guess that's like kind of the big pivotal moment for me of wanting to work with kids.
Wow. So it was an elementary school counselor that kind of showed you that magic of like being able to transform someone's feelings and make them feel better.
Yeah. And that was like, I didn't know exactly what she did. Like, I just knew I wanted to be her and what she did for a living.
Did it seem like magic to you at the time? Like she was like performing magic on people?
It really was. Like it really was magic to me. Like, you know, those like scenes in movies where it kind of like slows down a little bit and then like and like all of a sudden like the cinematography becomes like thousands times better, where it's just like everything is like, I don't know, 4K, and it looks so surreal, and it's like it's supposed to be that moment. But like that's what it was for me watching her with my friend. It like just really clicked, where it's like, wow, this like feels like it's hitting my core in a way, which felt magic to me.
So I'm imagining you were in elementary school and then there was a food fight and then all the chicken nuggets froze in midair and then you started pushing the chicken nuggets aside as like I'm just ripping off Big Fish right now, but
yeah, well, that's exactly it in my head. That's exactly it. Maybe not chicken nuggets because it was outside at recess, like on the cement where people play wall ball. So maybe
tennis balls.
Yeah, tennis balls and like the big wall balls that will like smack you in the face otherwise. So yeah.
Well, that's an amazing story. I don't want to prod too deeply, but is there sort of an overview you could give of like, you know, why you gravitated that way? Is there kind of a summary you could give of the challenge that you were facing that pushed you in that direction?
Yeah, I can like give like a brief little overview. Well, I mean, there was like several things. This is kind of like more another point in my life, like closer to middle school, actually. But like this really is like, I would say the catalyst, this, and then one more instance in high school. But in going into middle school, or maybe it was just in middle school, my family was just going through a situation where essentially there was like family members who were going through a custody battle. And like within that time, the child, my cousin, who the whole custody battle was focused on, she had died and passed away. It was like just a super confusing time because I think like at the time, all of the adults in my family, they didn't want to really involve the children because that's like really heavy stuff. And like maybe they just thought that like if we don't really like talk about it too in depth, then it's like not something to really like stress over, which I totally understand. But it was really just like so confusing because all we really knew was that, oh, like our cousin was here, the like my family members were doing custody battle, and then like all of a sudden like my cousin is no longer here, and that's like the summary that we got from like the adults. And so basically in that time, I just remember like all of the adults like were just going through so much. Like you could just feel like the stress, you could feel the sadness. Even at that time, like they were trying really hard to like make things feel okay. You could just still feel the weight of the room because of what was going on. And I think during that time, since they were dealing with so much stuff, like legal stuff and just like the loss of a family member, like I think I was just kind of more put in charge of like hanging out with my cousins. And I have like lots of cousins on this side of the family, like more than I can really count, like you lose track.
How old was this cousin?
Oh, she was an infant. So I was really young, so I can't remember exactly, but like I think she must have been like, I don't know, maybe like anywhere from 3 months to 8 months old in that time, which is developmentally, that's a big span of time, but I can't remember. I just know that she was an infant.
So
it
obviously very traumatic to everybody.
And like
passes away.
Yes, it was very traumatic, but and like also just more so for my cousins who were like that was their sister. So like I just remember like that was also like a very heavy situation for all of them. So they were of course going through something really difficult at that time too, and like me being like a little bit removed from the situation. I mean, yes, she is my cousin and I like felt that heavily as well, but like they felt it on a whole new level that I would never be able to understand. So like with that, I think I was just kind of in charge of like my younger cousins. And in that time, it was just like me kind of just helping them and caring for them and making fun things to do or doing fun stuff, whether it was like pretend play or whatever it was. And in that time, like I realized that I had like a purpose, like I had a responsibility. And like, yes, it was like through a really difficult time, but like I found a lot of like my own happiness because I found like this purpose that was very fulfilling at the time.
Well, that all makes perfect sense. It's obviously something that like you were acutely aware of the pain that other family members were feeling. And I mean, you said it perfectly. You know, you found a new purpose in helping them through that, helping them to find the light in their life still, despite such a horrible thing happening. So that's really amazing that you're able to transform such a something that's so troubling and dark and painful into something that, you know, it's a drive that I see you pursuing all the time. And I have the benefit of, you know, knowing a little bit more about you than most of my guests. So I can actually say that with a lot of conviction that this is a true drive that you have to help others and to help children.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for sharing that, and sorry to make it get emotional right off the bat here, but I think that in everybody's, you know, I like to think of everyone that I talk to on here as being a hero of some sort.
Yeah.
And an explorer, of course, of different various realms, but I think that every hero's story tends to start with some sort of trauma or some sort of catalyst that sort of puts you on your path, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So it really, I think it helps, I think anyone listening to understand that like, this isn't just some shallow surface level drive for you. It runs deep, and we won't get into it, but I think that you've faced your own hardships and challenges and trauma too in your own childhood. And I know that's a big part of you trying to make the lives of other children as good as you can. So I think that it can be painful to kind of like dig up these things, but at the same time, it's kind of neat to see how valuable the hard things in our life really end up becoming, that they end up becoming something beautiful if you can transform it and you know, turn it into sort of a lesson or turn it into a way to improve. So I'm very I'm inspired by you. So
shucks, thanks. And I'm very inspired by you. And you know, we've had like several conversations. Like that's basically our whole relationship is like how we've inspired each other. But you truly inspire me to become like a better person, and not just like a better person, but just like just generally like a human being someone should be. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Chynna. Well, I think that's a perfect transition point to something else I wanted to talk about and let everyone know about. Chynna is the founder of a project called Community Circle.
Oh gosh.
I would call it a business, but it was kind of in its like beginning phases when you were starting to sell your boxes or ship out like prototype versions. Chynna's project is called Community Circle, and you can just type it in on YouTube, and it's amazing. It is something I've personally taken part in for like 1 or 2 episodes.
Oh, more than that. Like I've definitely like needed your help on like multiple aspects.
Yeah, I played guitar and drums, or guitar and keys or something with
Yeah.
China's cousins. And so China invites on little kids for each episode and basically does experiments or cooking or
With them, not
with
on
them.
them.
Yeah, no. It's really cool. And you've taken a little bit of a break or hiatus from it, but I think it's so worth mentioning because it really, one, it exhibits just your drive to provide enrichment for children and for adults too, which is like, I think maybe one of the overlooked aspects of what you were trying to achieve there. It's not just about children, it's about connecting the adults and the children. It's for both of them, really, to get to do art or plant a plant in like a little pot and grow your flower. China has so many cool, I think you put out maybe like 8 to 10 videos. So you guys could check it out. Once again, Community Circle on YouTube.
Oh gosh.
Give China a sub and some views.
That's not necessary, but thank you.
But I thought it was so cool while you were doing that. China would put together like a box with all the different materials and send it out to my family members and some of her family members and engage the kids in these awesome projects that are so much more just enriching than an iPad app, basically. You know, like
yes,
this stuff will really motivate your kids to be curious and excited about the world around them. So big props to you, China, for starting that project. Is there any hope of seeing it return and start back up again? Have you got any future plans?
Yeah, honestly, that would be like the dream, I guess my dream shark in a sense, but
yes.
Yeah, I would love to get back into that just because like that really does like it combines every single hobby and passion of mine together. And like you said,
what are some of your hobbies and passions, just to list them out?
Oh, sure. I like arts and I love crafting. So anything where just like putting stuff together to make into something useful or pretty essentially is like what I really like doing. And then but that like goes a little bit further when it comes to children, because like that's personally I love arts and crafts, but when it comes to children, I just love being able to like discover the child, like themselves, and like really honing in on their interests and like not really like forcing them to learn any one particular curriculum, but really just like, I guess, encouraging them to like explore in a sense, like you said, like we're all explorers because like maybe they have an idea of something and like they don't really want to get into it because they've heard like, I don't know, a stigma about it, like math, for example. That's very much me. Like I always thought I was bad at math and like math was boring and that kind of stuff. But really what I want to do for kids is just like find a method or find a way for them to pique their interest and like kind of learn math in a way that they can understand and enjoy.
I connect on that so much because I mean, anything creative always has that stigma. It's always like, oh, he doesn't really have the talent to do art. You know, he's more of an athlete or whatever, or, oh, I can't play an instrument. I don't have that kind of talent, you know? I don't have a math brain. I have a right brain, you know, I don't have a left side brain.
Exactly. Those labels.
Yeah, it's very limiting. And that's awesome that you're trying to rip those labels off.
Oh yeah. Thank you. But yeah, it really is just like focusing on the child. But not only that, like some of my favorite episodes is like where we just really like get deep with children. Like they have such
talk about ideas.
Yeah, like they are so capable and their knowledge goes far beyond than like what we really realize. Like we think like, oh, they're kids, like they're so basic, but like really they are like so in depth and they can like really think of concepts in such a greater way than I think most adults can, or maybe not that we can't. It's just like we have a harder time like breaking those barriers or opening this box because like we live through a life of limitations. But really through that, it's just like exploring with children, and then through that also helping other adults kind of explore those concepts further as well.
Yeah, I think like doing an art project with your kid is sometimes, and I often go to art and music because that's kind of my, favorite stuff. But I notice it a lot, adults saying, I can only draw a stick figure. Well, doing a community circle little paint the flower pot thing maybe is like that adult parent's first time doing art in 20 years. So
definitely.
And sometimes you need to start simple like that. So I think it's a great opportunity for kids and adults. And another perfect segue has presented itself.
You're so good at segues.
Well, the perfect segue here is that you're really emphasizing human autonomy, but child autonomy too, which is what you do for a living. Your job is working at a Montessori school. Previously, you were there as the assistant head of the school or like an assistant principal role. And now you're hiring for the company. Just to give people a little breakdown of Montessori, maybe you could try and summarize it in a minute or so about Maria Montessori, the founder of this really cool method that helps kids do a lot more than I remember being like permitted to do as a kid.
Definitely.
It's nothing new, this Montessori method, but it's, I guess you could say it's still kind of exclusive because it's private schools that mostly run it. So it's something that it really should hopefully bleed over into all childhood education facilities, I would say, because I just think it is a much more effective way of giving these kids the tools and skills they need. But go ahead, Chynna, just let the audience know what the Montessori method is. Maybe there's some other musician parents out there that would appreciate hearing this.
Yeah. And before I dive too deep into Montessori, I just want to preface this by saying that like Montessori is like what's considered an alternative form of education. And there are tons of different pedagogies and philosophies out there. Like there's like, I don't know, like the school, like you probably heard of like Goddard schools or Waldorf schools. Those are all like with their own philosophy of education. And essentially what it is like public schools that are like controlled by the state and government. Hold on one second. Apollo's scratching to get out. So I'm going to let our cat out real quickly.
Just a brief little interlude here, folks, while Apollo gets his outdoor time.
Sorry about that. I wasn't sure if that was background noise or not.
That's okay. So you were saying that there are different schools of thought, and this is just one of many, but what makes it special?
Yeah. So essentially, to get more specifically into Montessori is just basically a philosophy that really believes in fostering the independence or autonomy of any particular child. To kind of give some background context, Maria Montessori was a woman in Italy, and she was like a very driven woman. Like in her time, it was very uncommon for females to go into fields of like field of medication, being a doctor essentially, or a physicist, like that was just like unheard of, but it was something she was very passionate about and really wanted to get into. And she worked really hard to do that, just basically defying like a lot of people in order to do something she was in love with. Oh,
sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
She was kind of like put to the task of helping the unhelpable, right? Because they had nothing else for her to really do.
Exactly.
And then she crushed it at doing that. Way more than anyone else could have.
Essentially, yeah, she did become a doctor, and then through becoming a doctor, she was given the role of working with kids who what is that, like, not facility, insane asylums. I don't know if that's necessarily it. Mental institutions.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think that's what they referred to it back then. But basically, yeah, she was put in that role of working with kids in that world. And this is back then before they even really had any in-depth knowledge of like maybe mental issues. So like they were just possibly putting like troublesome kids in this when really there was like nothing wrong with them at all. And that's something that she like discovered, is like she just realized that they were in an environment that was like not really motivating them to learn or grow in any way. Like everything was so sterile and everything was just like not like in any way helping them in their education, or even not just like education, but just like in life. There's not really stuff to help them.
So she discovered that they needed materials, as they call it, to work with, that they were being understimulated, right? Being in
Exactly.
like a 4 white wall room with nothing to do. They needed things to engage with to enrich their mind, basically.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So she basically, from there, she dedicated herself to learning everything she could that was known with childhood development. And then she kind of curated her own idea and philosophy that she worked with these children on. And essentially that was it. She wanted to provide these children materials for them to really work with. Like, and this is like a concept in Montessori that there is play, that you do play, but like really like your drive is to work with something. So a lot of the toys that you would see in like a Montessori school, we don't really refer to them as toys. We refer to them as materials that you work with. And really what this does is like these materials engaged these children with such focus. Like they were just so astounded being able to like work with these things and really grow their minds, that they did really well. And it was discovered that like they were able to like surpass expectations, like test higher than like an average child on a lot of like standardized tests back then. So yeah, it was really just honing in on the child and their individual needs and teaching them in a method or approach that worked for them, and honing in on their interest and not forcing one particular curriculum on them at that time.
And this is back in the late 1800s, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In Italy.
In Italy, yeah.
So yeah, that gives everyone a little perspective there of like, this has been around for, 150 plus years. But a lot of us did not grow up this way. So I think that I could give a couple examples, try to give like 2 or 3 quick examples that you've seen at the Montessori school, since Chynna has worked there in person.
Yeah.
She sees stuff, and these little kids acting like little adults, basically, just in ways that would blow your mind. I'll just throw a couple out there. We've got spreading cream cheese on a bagel with a little plastic knife by themselves at like 2 and under. Their conflict resolution when someone's being too loud or noisy or disruptive. But I should say a peaceful conflict resolution with no adult, I don't want to call it interference, but facilitation, all done by the kids to resolve their own conflicts. Those were just a couple that popped into my mind just over the last couple of years of being there. And our baby boy, Lucas, goes there because we're so lucky to get free tuition with Chynna's job.
Yes.
So
we're very lucky, very grateful, and something to really appreciate, because we completely understand that this is not an opportunity that everyone has. And I would love for one day to like have it where anyone has the opportunity to gain this type of education, or any alternative education that they're interested in.
I mean, it's both our daycare and it's a genuinely like enriching education for him. So it's really amazing. And I fully back the whole Montessori, or at least Guideposts whole program, which
Yeah,
is the
definitely.
specific company who does this
Yeah.
Montessori.
Our Montessori schools are all under Guideposts, which is like our organization, which is it's great. They definitely, their whole mission is to really make sure that Montessori is an opportunity for all. Unfortunately, right now, like Montessori, since it is an alternative form of education, it is considered private schooling. So like with private schools, there's always like tuition to keep in mind, which is really tricky for majority of people. But like, I believe their mission is like to get to that point where like they can enter this philosophy into like public schools one day, or just like schools that are affordable for a lot of families. So I think that's a great mission.
So
But
I was going to list one little example that highlights the difference in method. And then you can add in your own stories here from your work. But like one that you told me about is that if they're going outside with the babies, and this is, by the way, not like 5-year-old kid, although it does apply to 5-year-olds too, because this program goes, pretty high up with the age range. But if you're going outside, you can't just do everything for these little babies and put the Velcro on their shoes and zip up their jackets. The guides, as they're called, not teachers, because they're not teaching at you, they're guiding you to figure it out on your own. You said that they'll just sit there and watch them put the Velcro on their shoe and then get kind of distracted by it and start pulling it up and down. And even though you're on the inside, you're like, oh, come on, just get it done already. Like you have to be patient. And let them go through the process, and then they retain it that way and they learn, and it's easier every time from that point. Or maybe they get distracted sometimes still, but they learn to put on their own coat and their own shoes and zip up and buckle up. And I think that's just one perfect example of like, this is different from how our parents were like, here, let me do that for you, like,
just to be quick and out the door or something.
Right. So I just think there's such immense benefit to that. Go ahead and give us another example that you've seen.
And I will say there is a reality to it too, though. Like you and I personally have experience where it's like, we do need to leave. And it's like there are times where it's like, okay, we need to like really, Lucas is so little, like when he gets older and we can communicate more, and we can still do that with him now. But like, there are times where it's like, okay, we do need to leave by this time. Like, I want to encourage you to be able to do it on your own. But let's make sure that we stay focused and like, let's get out the door by this time or something like that. But really it is just like letting that child really explore, understand that concept. Like, they might be mesmerized by the Velcro, but that is like how they're taking that information in. Like they are like, this is how this mechanism works. Like I can understand the why behind it. So that's why they tend to really allow that time for a child to learn and explore. But some other examples, I'll just like get into like maybe just a couple of different topics. But like with math, for example, most of us learned multiplication through flashcards, which really, it is a helpful tool, but how it teaches
memorization mostly.
Yes, exactly. It's to memorize. Whereas like a Montessori material, you have numbers on the side, numbers on top, and then you have these beads. And it really, how this material is set up, it really shows you how multiplication works. Like you add like so many beads together when you multiply this number to this number. So it's a great visual tool of like understanding multiplication. So they like at age 4 and 5, like they know multiplication and they know it. It's not that they memorize it, but they know how to multiply numbers and get to a result, which is fascinating to me.
I wonder if their mental visual sense becomes sharpened by something like that. I wonder if every time they multiply 4 times 4, they can see, 16 beads in their head. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know how it works too, because like, we all learn in a different way. And a lot of us, the majority of us are visual learners, and maybe doing this, like it is like honing in on that visual sense, but also just like them, it's a tactile thing as well, where they can run their fingers over the beads and they get a sense of what it feels like. And then of course they're counting out loud. So it's like an auditory thing as well. So there's like multiple aspects to it, like one material.
That's true. I hadn't even thought of the tactile way of memorizing things through touch. That's a kind of a unique idea there. Like maybe running your fingers over the beads enough times gives you this internal mental sense of like 1 bump, 2 bump, 3 bump, 4 bump, 5 bump. Maybe the bumps really do linger as a clear memory. So I think really overlooked that idea.
You can apply multiple sensorial ways to learn. It really does help a child learn, not like necessarily faster, but like they actually, it is like a greater in depth of understanding of any topic. But that's like a curriculum based thing based on math. Like another example, like you said, is spreading cream cheese. That's something huge in Montessori, where they like really hone in on this concept of practical life, where like a lot of the materials they work with are things that apply to what we actually do in real life. Like
glass cups instead of sippy cups.
Yeah, exactly. They use glass.
Shot glasses.
Yeah, I know. It's so cute for the babies. They use little glass shot glasses. But like that is like a concept where it's like, okay, like inherently, like we know when something feels fragile to us. And so when we're holding a ceramic plate or a glass plate, it's like there's like this sense like, oh, I want to treat this with care. And like and
what about when glass breaks in the classroom?
Oh yeah, like the method of that is great. It's like we don't freak out. Like I know, like personally, when I was a young kid, it's like if your cup was too close to the edge or like it fell over, it was a big ordeal and you felt so ashamed and everything. But like when glass breaks in the class, it's like, oh, everybody stop. There's glass that's broken, and everybody's taught to like freeze. And then like the teacher or the guide handles the broken glass, of course, and they very slowly and carefully sweep it all up, slowly and carefully, like gather it all with a rag. And each child is like watching and observing very closely. So that way, like they might not be able to do that particular activity of cleaning glass, but they're really like understanding that, okay, this is what happens when glass breaks. It's a very fragile thing. It also teaches them like, you only get this once, because like we don't replace our plates frequently. It's like we have to be kind to our items, because who knows when we can get a next plate in or something. And we do order more plates, but
when it comes to the not toys but materials, and I guess to clarify that, like some of these materials, they're like little machines that the kids can inspect, like whether it's like a little kaleidoscope or something.
Yeah.
Things with typically an interactive element, right? Where they can
like a music box. Yeah. Like usually music boxes, like you don't see the gears of it really. Like it's all covered up, but the music boxes that we have, they're all clear. So that way you can see the little cylinder with the prongs and like how the mechanisms work in a music box.
Another perfect segue there. We touched upon Montessori, and I know you probably had many more examples to give, but probably the point has been made that like giving children the opportunity to learn and prove what they can do ends up being a lot more impressive and surprising than like adults have been led to believe over so many years of like, I don't know, our culture just telling us kids can do this and can't do that. And I guess lastly on that note is like most people feed their babies puree food for like a long time. Something that we embraced, that's part of the Montessori method, is cutting things into, sticks of food, big pieces.
Yeah.
And
that's called
babies,
baby-led weaning.
Yeah. And babies naturally, from 5-6 months are able to do it and don't choke on these big pieces of food that you would be, most of us would feel pretty scared of giving them, but they'll kind of gag and like spit it out if it's too big. And they'll hold onto the stick and kind of gnaw at it until they can get little pieces down. And, our son who just turned a year, he's been doing that for 6 months already, and drinks out of an
we started
open
a
top
little
cup.
bit younger. Yeah.
So to kind of wrap that up, I think that's the main point there of like why I wanted to talk about Montessori, because I think capable children become capable adults. And
Yes.
there's a link there, obviously.
Yes.
What you learn as a kid carries over. So I think it's really great to start with such a beautiful foundation.
Definitely. And it's not something too, I just want to like really disclose that like I truly do believe in the Montessori philosophy. It's something that we really enjoy and see the results from. And it's not even really results, but we just see like this clear difference essentially. So like I would just encourage anyone, like you have that freedom to look into alternative not medications, education, alternative education. And it like there shouldn't be like any felt pressure of like applying to a private school, because like that, like not everyone has.
We couldn't afford it.
No, there's no way we could have done
free
it.
Tuition.
Yeah, there's no way. But there's so many ways to apply it at home. And I know that takes like a little bit of time and a little bit of research. But if you're interested, like just, I don't know, looking up a quick video that's 2 minutes on how to like maybe apply this something, and you're able to do it together at home, that goes miles and miles to be able to do it with your child. So like, it's not, I just want to make sure that we emphasize, like, you don't have to go to a private school. Like,
it's not like everyone else's method is less than or anything.
No,
I think it's just really cool to highlight what a benefit this can be to a little kid, and what a benefit it can be to the parents.
Oh yeah.
Who would like a little more help and autonomy out of their kid,
Oh,
so
definitely. Yeah.
I think it's really great to give them as much tools and power as they can have. As long as they don't abuse the power and overthrow you. And
yes, I don't mind if Lucas overthrows me on cleaning. Like if he like loves cleaning and learns that from Montessori, I am totally fine being overthrown that way, and he can take over whatever he wants to do in that.
I'm talking overthrown like he lifts us up like Darth Vader lifts the Emperor and throws us down a shaft. Like, I'm done with you guys. I can do all this on my own.
Oh dear Lord, yeah, we can't do that.
I forgot what my segue was for Montessori.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
It was going to be delectable, but
no, I love delectable things. Wait, we have to think back. So
no, I got it. Okay. I can keep this train rolling no matter what. I think that even though this is not a perfect segue, I wanted to talk about your role in Dream Shark.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot to talk about there. Mm-hmm. And I don't think really many people know how, like I said before, fundamental you are to keeping this whole operation moving. Chynna's always working in the background. Like, Chynna has a full-time job doing Montessori already, remotely now. Woohoo! So we can be together.
I love my new job, by the way. I love hiring and finding other passionate people about teaching and working with kids. So I'm obsessed with it. But yes, I'm also very passionate about my other job, Dream Shark.
but yeah, it's also just a huge improvement for our lives in general. We're able to cook and eat lunch in the middle of the day.
Yes!
Go grocery shopping, go for a walk in the park. Like, these are things we can squeeze into our weekdays now because of Chynna's new job. So we're like just really ecstatic about this. Has only been like about a month or two.
I think, yeah.
Of your new job. So we're still kind of basking in the joy of just being together more. Because prior to this, I was really isolated, like Monday through Friday, it would be me home alone from 7 a.m. when Chynna would leave to sometimes like 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. And we're like too tired to cook dinner, too tired to bust out Dream Shark stuff. All this. Oh, so okay. Here's the segue.
Ooh, okay. I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
Since you are such a community builder,
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you tell our audience how you work on building community within Dreamshark and how, you know, our secret society membership and how our different plans in the works, I should say. We could talk about them here, but such as the Dreamshark Airbnb.
Oh gosh. Oh, now that it's out, like it has to, like,
now we got to do it.
Yeah.
So putting a stamp on it here.
Oh gosh.
It's official.
The pressure.
But Chynna and I, we like to have monthly meetings, and we like to have like big brainstorms where we think of ideas that are just like out of this world. Like literally, one of the ideas was launch the Astro Child into orbit by partnering with SpaceX.
It's gonna happen. I just know it.
He, like the Tesla car, he can just kind of slowly encircle the Earth. Yes. But that was one crazy lofty idea. And then just yesterday, I think we got so fired up on this idea about buying some land, building a house basically, and turning it into the official Dreamshark themed Airbnb, where we'll hold concerts and have basically make it like a mini theme park. So
unless we get like a lot of land, and then we could do like cool stuff like ATVs or something. Oh my gosh, what if we made like a cleared out area and like made like little bumps or jumps that you do with like ATVs and bikes? But what if we got that? Oh, how would we make it like moon looking though? We could like make it look like craters, so that way
moon rovers.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Dump like 100 tons of gray silt all over it and like build their own craters.
Yes.
So now you guys have gotten to see a little glimpse into Chynna and I's
we could do like
imagine session banter here. But this is where our crazy minds go to. But a little overview, I guess, of some things that you've been at recently for Dreamshark. And this is a very broad list of things that, so I'm not going to be able to cover all of it, but Chynna has revamped the website. We kind of collaboratively worked on that, but thanks to Chynna's initiative there, the website looks like it does now, which is just like, it is my dream website. Like, it's not just a website. We made the dream website with a video game on it and an amazing aesthetic and just like all these nooks and crannies. When I came to Chynna talking about it, I wanted to make like a Homestar Runner-esque website. That's what I grew up loving. Like a website you could go to and explore, and like it feels like you're going to like a digital world of its own. And that's what we strive to do. And Chynna's really like the reason that came together, because I was just dragging my feet on it for like a whole year. In addition to that, our whole like online store, the shipping and everything, Chynna's oversees all that back end. So if you guys get amazing looking packages, credit goes to Chynna. I do not do all those stamps and packaging and tissue paper. That is Chynna. So you hype up the whole brand image. You do graphic design work too. The community engagement with all sorts of really original, unique ideas. One of which we came up with recently, where we would like to give like a Dreamshark coin or crypto or
save that one for later.
Basically a reward system for our engaged fans. But these are like Chynna's brain children here that like I feel like you have such a strength for figuring out how to engage people and get them excited and feeling like they're part of a community, which is, as it says on Dreamshark's little Insta bio, we're building a community of the greatest community of creatives in the world. That is what the objective is. So And yeah, China's always providing feedback too on every single thing I'm doing. Hey, China, does this look like it was placed right? Scoot it over to the middle and in, sure. Hey, China, what do you think about the album artwork? Or what do you think about this flyer? China's always the second opinion. So that has a lot of value in itself. But I've talked a bit too long here. Why don't you give a little glimpse into some of your feeling of involvement in your roles at Dreamshark?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first, I would just like to say that, I mean, I'm passionate about my day job, but this is also a day job. But this I am very passionate about because I just truly love what you do, Benji, and that like your whole mission, like your whole message, it really is just so pro-social. Like you're really just wanting promote like healthy thinking or like just the sense of community and being there for one another, or like how to resolve conflict in a healthy way and not just like go to our typical vices of like, I will shut down and be like silent if I'm being like confronted, like all of that. I just love what you do and like what you promote. So something to be very passionate about. So it's so easy jumping in on this, and you involve so much creativity within being like a little artsy and crafty. I love that aspect. But I also
side note, Chynna and I met doing art lessons. Like,
yeah.
That I mean, we can get into that later. But when she says a little bit artsy, like that's just being humble. Chynna is completely an artist. She taught art to children for years. We'll get into that later, but I'll let you continue.
Okay, thank you so much. But yeah, so I really love all of that aspect. But something I do really love too is more of the business aspect too, like really finding systems to like help just streamline things. And I really love making connections and like finding partnerships that like build a community. So I guess going into that a little bit more in depth is just like something I'll do is I will reach out to different venues and book gigs for the band and everything. I'm being introduced to the music world and how everything works there. So there are things for me to definitely improve upon, but that's just one thing. It's like booking gigs.
Chynna has recently booked us like, I don't know, 6 to 8 shows. Like as soon as she was put to the task, Chynna blew it out of the water and got Dreamshark into, markets.
Oh yeah,
for free.
Yes,
that has been very beneficial to Dreamshark, getting the word out there and stuff. So Chynna is like so crucial. I can't like express that enough. Is just, it's like, it's something, just to kind of take a little side note here. It's like, it's just too much for me to create all this different stuff. And all I want to do is really create, although I love engaging with people after the fact, and I love to perform, and I love to just be thinking of new ideas and stuff. But I think that like you doing all that you do really helps me to focus on the creative process and less on getting the shipping labels and other stuff that's still highly important, but just that no human could have enough time for in a given day or week. So sorry, had to just give you a little hype up once again, because I could not sail this ship without you, and or it would just be at such a more minimized capacity. Like I just could not keep all the gears turning without you. So everyone should just know that Chynna is like the back end that makes it all keep working. She is the mitochondria of Dreamshark, the powerhouse.
Yes. Is that the one that looks like a bean? It has like a ribbon looking inside. I think
so.
Okay,
Why could the mitochondria never just be called the battery or the power plant? It always had to be called the powerhouse of the cell.
Yeah, powerhouse is so cool. Who wouldn't want to be called the powerhouse?
But no one ever tried to even deviate from that and say like, The mitochondria is the power source.
As no one should. Powerhouse is
Powerhouse.
that label is so good that there's no point in trying to compete with that. Like, I don't want to be referred to the battery. I want to be called the powerhouse.
Just sounds like a MMA fighter or like a big wrestler.
Yeah, it shows like, yeah, it basically shows the power.
But yeah, I think I cut you off like 5 times there just because I got excited to let people know how important you were.
Well, thank you.
but if there was anything else you wanted to touch upon about your role at Dreamshark, and in addition to that, just if you want to talk about some of your favorite parts about it, like the things that really stand out to you.
Really, it's like just looking for those opportunities where it's like events, gigs, markets, festivals, like all of those things I really, really enjoy, because in a sense, like what those things are, it's just a group of people all coming together to enjoy something that they all share, like a passion for, or shared interest that they have. And I just think that's so great when like we have the opportunity to like bring together and like just enjoy something that we all like. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Like you said, I do like the whole packaging situation, which I really love because that gets me into the whole craftsy sense of things. And the other thing that like we do together is the whole secret society situation, which is like really honing in on that community sense that I really love. I don't want to like dive too much into that because it is a secret society, but if you're interested, you can like definitely find out more. But
how could people find out more about the secret society?
Yeah, it's on our website. Well, your website, our website.
It's our website.
So yeah, it's on the website, just a brief description. And then if you like are curious more about it, you can definitely reach out via Instagram DM, and then we can like dive a little bit into it. But a big part of it is that there is just so many amazing mysteries to like discover within it. And that's like the fun of it. It's not knowing going into it really. Like I
think there's some things that can be counted on. You'll get new stickers every single week in the mail,
of course,
but so many other perks and presents and cool things. And
like to basically cover it, it's like you do get 2 awesome stickers each month, along with like you could also get like, I don't know, other merch. So there is like that subscription base, but it goes so much deeper than that. Like it's so much more than that. So
our secret society members, we regard as like the diehard Dreamshark fans that we will go to the ends of the earth for. So, and
they're actually amazing people. Like,
yeah, the whole secret society is just an amazing community.
You have to think of something big for Christmas, or maybe I don't even know if everyone celebrates Christmas, but maybe we could just like do like a big just because thing, like I don't know, their own specially designed shoes. Okay, I'll stay quiet. But yes, I just really love that aspect as well. But it's something I truly love is just Benjamin's brain. Like never before have I like gotten the opportunity to go into such big, like, what do you call them? Think tank kind of situations where you have 2 people who are very passionate, very energetic, who love chatting about like ideas and how big you can go with them. And not only that, but like someone such as yourself, where like you have such a drive to follow through on it. Like that's like probably my favorite part is like when we're in like a meeting and we have this idea and then all of a sudden we're like screaming at the top of our lungs because we love this idea so much, and then we start working on it like within the hour.
I think I have a little story on that note. Kind of the most legit music video we put together was for Don't Stop Thinking, and like in a day, I think, from start to finish. I mean, we didn't record it all in a day. Far from that. It took many different reattempts to get the sunset for that last scene. We had to keep going out multiple days to film that last little part where Chynna and I run together in the grass and at the end of Don't Stop Thinking. But that was such a perfect example of what you're describing, where it's like one morning we're just sitting around, and then I don't know what even happened. Like, hey, would it be cool if we made a music video? Yeah, that would be cool. And then we started talking about it, and like in about 5 minutes, we're like, like
yes, exactly.
in each other's faces, like getting so overly excited,
jumping on the couch when we have an idea. Like, what do you think about this? No, that won't work. Okay.
We pull out the sketch pad, and I think we drew up a whole
storyboard.
Yeah, storyboard for it, and wrote it all out, figured out all the props and stuff, figured out all the locations, like transformed our house into a music video set.
All within like a night. Like we stayed up late to like create the whole set of it.
So yeah, like that we just absolutely powered through and ran purely off of
powerhoused through.
Yeah. I got no mitochondria pun, but I was gonna say we mitoconjured up a great music video with all that power.
That was a good one. Why didn't you just go with it?
I needed time.
Oh, it's okay. Well, it was good. Definitely save that one for later.
But that was such that is a prime example. And I think this idea about Airbnb, we exhibited very similar energy with it, but it's like we get so freaking ecstatic about something that like we're like infused with like 1,000 volts of energy, and we're like, all right, I'm just gonna work until I burn out. Like, let's get this thing done, because I'm so excited about it.
I don't know if any of you guys ever felt so excited about something that you just wanted to slap the other person's face out of excitement, but it's like that kind of excitement where it's like, oh my god, this is so good.
So yeah, I loved riding that wave last time, and we had so many other music video ideas too that just didn't get executed on. But and we, by the way, big shout out to Andy Mo and Felix Milan. Andy directed and filmed the music video, and Felix acted in it, and both of them were so amazing, and they did it all for free, which is even more amazing of them. Those guys are just such great, amazing friends. So we're so grateful for. Our vision was only half of the making of that video. It was Andy's amazing 4K footage and film skills that he's been acquiring over decades that actually made it amazing.
So for sure. Like you
just
can have
don't want to forget to say that.
you can have an idea, but being able to incorporate like other professionals and their like artistic mindset and like some of the shots that he got, it like took it to a whole new level of like, holy crap, like in our heads, this was good. But Andy just made it like it felt like a movie. Like it was just like, it was so good. But I think
the fog and stuff too, like that was not gonna be part of our plan. So
my gosh. And they were so great in being part of like the process of like, oh wait, this part of the story does not make sense. Like, how can we make up for this? Or this is not logistic.
Very correct. Collaborative.
Like, they're great. I don't know if you can see it, but their thing is called like N7 Films.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, definitely give them a follow, and then just take all of your questions about anything about film, your projects, just go to them. They're amazing.
They're legit, and they are accepting clients. So seriously, like if you check out the Don't Stop Thinking video and you think it looks great, whether you're a musician or anything else,
people don't think it looks great. It is great.
Oh yeah. This is towing the line between a like bragging for them and bragging for ourselves, but
it's okay. Like I think it's important. Like we definitely want to like stay humble, of course, but you should definitely like just rejoice in your success and everything.
I love what we created. I'll just leave it at that. I love what we created. I love watching it still. So.
Yes, for sure. It was so much fun.
All right. Well, this is I would like to kind of reach our last part here by discussing what I like to normally discuss, which is
Aliens.
yes.
Oh.
And I thought about putting UAP on like my little to-do list, but we can segue into that, and I think it could be appropriate. But
what were you thinking? Because
and by
we've
the
talked
way,
so much about
aliens.
aliens.
I don't know if I really or if I really use the word aliens at this point.
Well, anything that's not us.
I know, but I guess the stigma associated with UAP I find to be a more actually like accurate term, even though it seems like the government's trying to rebrand UFOs as UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, but that's really more what it is to me. It's like it's a phenomenon more than it is spaceships, because a lot of times it doesn't have a solid shape or seem to.
I think a ship is just
adhere.
a vessel of transportation, though. And
I know, but what do you call a globe of light that's floating around? Is that an object even, or a ship, or aliens?
I don't know if it's a form of transportation for like any being, then yes, I would consider it a ship in some form.
I mean, the thing itself, like a glowing orb that is, I mean, for anyone who's interested in the subject, glowing orbs is something that's reported a lot of the time, and something I've talked about in the past, I think even on this podcast, that me and my middle school buddies saw a low-flying glowing orb that clearly wasn't a lantern or a drone or a helicopter or an airplane, or really I don't know what else is left there. Probably a few other things, but lantern and drone are kind of the only thing it could have been with how low flying and small it was. But yeah, when it comes to flying orbs of light, it's like I don't really know where to go with that. Part of me would be open to the idea that maybe that it's an organism, that maybe organisms can exist as like light organisms, in which case it would be an alien of some sort, or maybe they live here on Earth and come out of the ocean or something. I don't know, but kind of more the side I lean towards now is that like feels as though whatever this stuff is feels like it's interfacing or interacting with our personal consciousness and our collective consciousness. And part of me believes that if there's enough cultural weight in one direction or another, then we will experience what it is our collective mindset is. So if we all believe aliens torture and experiment on people, maybe that's actually what will manifest itself as a flying saucer that lands and takes people on board and puts them on a cutting table. I don't know. That's definitely getting pretty going pretty far with the leap of assumption there. But if I see an orb of light, is it maybe interfacing with my personal consciousness, or maybe even the collective consciousness of the whole state of Massachusetts at that time, or maybe just the combined consciousness of me and my friend Alex? Maybe we were on a similar wavelength mentally and were able to therefore manifest the same object. So that's, I guess, it sounds so wooey, and I can never seem to find a way to say it out loud that sounds intelligent to my own ears. But
I don't think it's just a matter of like how it sounds intelligent. I think it's just like
it defies our whole understanding of
like
life and physics, and that's why it doesn't feel like it makes enough sense. But the fact that these things appear and disappear makes me think that maybe we have something to do with them appearing and disappearing. Maybe.
Yeah. Who knows?
We could go for quite a while on that one, but I'll have all of y'all know that China's very open to the possibility of these unidentified things, and we've talked at length about this, and China's like surprisingly more relaxed about it than I am. Like I'm like, what? Like, how is this possible? reality is so weird and confusing. Like, I need answers. This is not acceptable. And China's just like, yeah, I'll teach Lucas that other beings exist in the universe. That's okay with me. And it's like, yeah, it's kind of out of our hands. But for me, it's like something I'm constantly trying to grasp at and understand more clearly. And the more I do so, the more weird and confusing it gets. But it's really encouraging to see this discussion happening all over YouTube and all over the internet. And maybe you got to go looking for it a little, but some really credible people like Kurt J. Mungle, who has a background in mathematics and physics, is actually dissecting this whole UAP issue. What are these unidentified aerial phenomena that the government and Navy have come out saying is completely real and that we have footage of, and that we don't know how it performs these crazy maneuvers? It's really cool to see someone like Kurt actually interviewing Lou Elizondo and Richard Doty, and he has a really wide range of guests.
Such a name dropper.
Well, these are just like people who, like, I don't know, get a lot of attention in this issue. So it's like, it's cool that he's coming at it with a very scientific approach and just asking very dry and open questions rather than attacking their character or saying, you know, like, oh, this seems a little hard to believe. He'll just question it with an open mind. And I think his channel just hit like 150,000 subscribers. But this is a guy you would not traditionally put in the tinfoil hat zone, you know?
Yeah.
It's someone very credible and well-spoken and knowledgeable and can go into the nuanced physics about some of this stuff. So yeah, I'll just kind of end there by saying that, like, I'm not alone, and I won't say I'm not alone anymore, but it certainly felt like up until the last few years, it felt like you kind of had to keep this stuff to yourself if you didn't want to be ridiculed. So it's really cool that we're able to talk about it with a more open mind now and not laugh about it anymore, considering it's real. So and here we are laughing now. What the hell?
Yeah, what? You manifested that.
But the last thing I wanted to talk about, and this does kind of tie into UAP and consciousness and God and the great beyond and all that stuff. But I want to ask you the question that I love to ask everyone, which is, where does creativity come from? Where does the desire to create something arise out of in humans?
That is such a good question. I feel like it really is like such a natural internal thing for us humans. I mean, you can see it in other creatures, of course.
Like what?
But like they're like
which?
Like with certain birds, how like they will create like nests and they will collect different elements to make their nest look more attractive. But that is like more for like a purpose of attracting a mate. And that's like very like evolutionary based.
Is a carpenter a creator?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like humans are they are unique in a way where it's like we do create. I mean, there is like always like a purpose to it, but it's not like a need, like a attracting a mate on an evolutionary science basis. Like sometimes we just create because there is just that drive to make something.
As humans, we're really good at changing our environment, but not so good at just like merging with it.
Yeah.
We seem to have a higher drive and capacity for altering our space around us.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I agree with that. I mean, just us, like we're constantly talking about like, oh, how do we switch up the decor of our house? Like it's been like a couple of months. Let's switch it up a little bit.
So do you think that creativity and artistry are two different things. Like somebody building a nest or building a house, someone building a house or a nest seems practical, but it's
Yeah,
creating something. It's creating something that
it
wasn't there
is.
before. And there's such a fine line of like, oh, this house is very like modern looking, very
Yeah.
artistic, right? It has like
Yes.
little, like you tilt the roof or something, like, so it's like this slab, and it's like, oh, that was a very creative decision you made there. So suddenly it's no longer just, or that was a very artistic decision, is what I meant to say.
Yes.
It's interesting. It's like, so is that bird creating? Yes.
It is
Is it
creating.
making art?
I don't know, because like
No.
we don't really
Yes.
know the mind of the bird. Like, what if in his mind or her? No, it's his mind because they usually attract the girl. But what if in his mind he decided to place this like candy wrapper on the right side because that is more like striking and
Yeah,
appealing?
it
I don't
reflects
really
the light
know.
more.
Yeah,
And
I
then, but
don't
each of
know.
those decisions, it's really interesting. Like each of those practical decisions, it overlays on my process too. I have to think, all right, I'm going to place the focal point of the painting here on the 1/3 mark so that their eye is guided to it. And I'm going to make sure that the highlight is on this side of the head so that like, it pulls your attention to the face. And
Yeah.
so these are very practical decisions while making a piece of art. Does a bird that places the candy wrapper over here and lets the foil shine in the sun, making it more luminous, is that an artistic choice, or is that like me saying I'm going to place it at the 1/3 mark because it typically makes for a better composition if you do that?
Yeah.
Like
That
where's that line of art?
I think that really just all comes down to intention, like kind of like if there is like thought behind it, like I did choose to do this over that, then it's like, then it shows that there is more of an artistic drive. Whereas
But
like,
does there have to be a choice over something, or can you make one choice and still have it be artistic?
yeah, I think so, because it still shows intention. Like I think when there's like just a further thought of something, it shows artistic choice. Whereas like, I don't know, and people could disagree. This is a very subjective topic, but like, let's just say that like I am, I don't know, I'm making my own nest and I'm just like literally gathering things and like throwing it in a form of a nest. Like I would say I'm creating something, but I don't know if I'm really putting an artistic intent behind it. Whereas like if I gather those things and I like layer them in such a way due to structure or whatever aesthetic, I feel like there is an artistic mindset behind that.
It really is so hard to define.
It is.
I have such a difficult time with it. And
you should ask a kid. They probably have like
well,
great
I did
answers
ask
for you.
a kid. I asked my niece Sophia,
Oh yeah,
and
that's
she
right.
said art is anything that you have fun doing, that you have a good time doing, which is a very unique definition. And she backed it up in multiple ways, but I do have the counter of like, what if someone's miserable while making art? Is it art anymore?
I guess in Sophia's like argument, no.
I said, is painting a wall one color art? And she said, if you're having fun doing it, yeah, it is. Which I was like, okay, I kind of see your point there. And then I was like, what if you're just exercising? Like you're not actually making anything. She's like, well, the art is inside of you. You're like, you're like making your body feel better. And as long as you're having fun doing it, like you're
That
making
is an
art
art.
and you're being creative. And it like, it both like opens my mind up so much and like creates dissonance. It's like so exciting and frustrating to have such a
Yeah.
like a good definition, but
Yes.
also one that feels like it doesn't get me any more specific.
Don't you just love that though? Like how a child has such a great answer for it. And it's like, it is such a good answer. And like you said, it does like provide this sense of distance where we're like, but wait, what? And it's because we have boxes, we have these limitations, but for a child, like they can so easily accept it because it is such a good answer.
In addition to that too, I should show this, but Sophia being such an amazing artist, it looks like it's in the family because Callie today sent me this drawing of Noah's ice cream cone.
Oh, let me see. Oh my gosh, look at that. I love
The waffle cone texture.
Yeah, the waffle cone texture looks great, but I love how the ice creams have like the W tops.
Yeah, they're like dripping upside down.
Maybe, who knows? That's actually kind of psychedelic looking.
But it's so cool to see those kids exploring their art and being so passionate about it too. But
yeah.
I wonder what Lucy will end up doing. But Sophia and Noah clearly have a love for creating. They do. So I should probably do a whole podcast with just them and just ask them. Oh my
gosh, you
questions.
should.
I mean, that's more of like, it's more of your community circle vibe.
You should definitely have them. I've had Sophia on the community circle. Yeah. She is a blast. But yes, you should definitely have them on your podcast. They could be your 10th podcast.
That's a pretty good idea.
That'd be so cute. Oh my gosh. Oh, that'd be adorable.
So
Sorry, I just want to say that Sophia is such a brilliant kid, and so is Noah. I just love like both of them and their perspective. Like when we did that trip with them, like Sophia is like just so deep, and she is so in tune with like her social emotional intelligence of like really understanding like her feelings, other people's feelings, and like how to go about that. Like I just think that's so brilliant. And then Noah, like I love how he like questions things. Like he was just like, why are you too nice or something like that? Like the fact that he'll like think about
he's 5.
That. Yeah, like but also to have a concept of what nice is, and then to define what too nice is, and then having that
you've crossed the line, Chynna. In his mind, you've crossed a line.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just love that. It's just like, oh my gosh, like who would have thought that someone's too nice, and then like as a kid, and then just like go as far to have a conversation about it. I love that.
They are such bright kids, and they just give me a lot of hope for the future, and like just they make me happy for humanity. So
I agree. I think we're very lucky to have a lot of like amazing kids in our family. It's like I think all of them just have such a great little unique perspective and such a good outlook on life.
They do. Well, that's pretty much coming full circle there. We started talking about kids. In the middle, we talked about Montessori and Dream Shark and community building. And in the end, we kind of segued out with kids, I guess. But we did mention that we were going to let people know about our how we met. So maybe this is the perfect way to go out. But
yeah, I agree.
A long time ago.
Wait, was it that long ago? Oh gosh. Okay, go ahead. Tell the story.
In a mall not so far away. There's a mall nearby us, maybe 15 minutes away, called Washington Square Mall here in Beaverton, Oregon. And I was probably in like kind of the lowest part of my adult life right before meeting you. I had just broken up for like, this is my first major breakup, and I was feeling single and heartbroken for many months. And I took a trip to Thailand with my friend Tessa and her friend too. And we had a great time, but I remember at the end of that flight, I just like, after getting plenty of free nips on the plane, 6 or 7 or whatever. And then
my gosh.
And then I just go to the bathroom and just like bawled out all my emotions of like feeling so like out of place in life, basically. Because I was working at Papa Murphy's Pizza, but I was trying to pursue my art in the background. And I just felt like a loser and a nobody. It just had been dumped basically, and like just not really in a great place in life. And so I came back from that trip and like had a strong urge to like change my whole life around basically, and like reinvent myself kind of, and start fresh. And I walked into the mall to get some Indian food one day, just for lunch. And I walked into a store that was art lessons for kids. And I had seen like their TIE Fighter or X-Wing posters there and was curious what it was all about. And it's a place where you go to drop your kids off for a lesson while you go shop around the mall. So you drop them off for an hour, and then the art teachers will teach them something. They have something to take away, and the parents are happy because they got some time to themselves. And so I started there. I dropped in, kind of like instantly got the job, which was great. And I was blown away by, because it was actually like within my interests, doing art, teaching kids, something I felt capable and excited about. And like seemed like such a big upgrade from making pizzas at Papa Murphy's. So
Benjamin makes an amazing pizza, by the way. The best pizza.
Now I make great pizzas, but
yeah,
probably not during those days. But when I started at Young Art, I think in the first week I met Chynna. And Chynna, I remember you being very tan the first day I met you. I think it was a spray tan though.
probably.
And I thought Chynna was like my coworker, and I was like, "Oh, hey, are you new here?" So she quickly let me know what was what. She's like, "Actually, I'm your manager."
I did not say it like that, and I didn't even say it. Our good friend Lauren told you.
Oh, maybe that's right. Maybe she was like, "Actually, she's your manager."
And she didn't even say it like that. Like maybe just like
it was made
sass.
clear that I made a mistake. But honestly, I think that just kind of like piqued my interest and like made me a little more, even more attracted to you. So and shortly after that, like there were posters up high, and Chynna's like, "All right, I'm gonna need you to get on this ladder and take down those posters." And
why in your head am I all so sassy and bossy? If anything,
you were a little bossy the first couple days. Like you were a different Chynna a little bit, but anyways, she was checking out my butt from down below.
I was
on the while I was up on the ladder, and I knew it too. So I put on a show. And...
yeah, you did. Benjamin was like the most bubbliest of butts ever.
Twerk on the ladder. But all of this is just not even getting to the main point here. That Chynna and I, we did art lessons together for a long time, and we'd work in the classroom together, teaching kids how to make these compositions. And like little by little, we started getting to know each other. And I shared with Chynna that I dream journal, at least I did at the time.
Me too.
And in great depth and detail. And so I'd bring in my journal some days, and we'd talk about dreams that I had, particularly the ones that involved Chynna and like my other young art co-workers and stuff. And Chynna shared her dream journal with me. Even I think it took you until we were dating to share the like more explicit
they weren't even that explicit.
Sensual dreams involving
you're making it sound like it was rated R. They were probably, if anything, like PG, on the verge of PG-13 dreams, but it definitely did just like shed light on like the feelings I had for you.
Yeah, likewise. And but it didn't just go as simple as like us just dating from that point. There was like a long convoluted start up to it. But one night when we were doing the schedule together, which I personally needed a lot of assistance doing, but Chynna could have done it very quickly and easily, but she pretended to be on my dumb level with it so she could hang out longer at night together in the store. And that was the pivotal moment where we had a paint fight and she stuck her fingers in tempera paint and wedged them in my ear. And then we were like tackling each other and throwing paint at each other, and Chynna dropped on top of me, panting all panting heavily from our exercise of throwing paint at each other.
The drama.
With her face right above mine. And I was just like, I don't know if this is appropriate to like lean in for the kiss right now, even though it was very obvious that that's what you're going for.
It was the biggest window of opportunity.
Somehow,
it was like a full-on door just opened for you.
It really was. And I did not take the opportunity because for some reason I just was too shy or I felt for some reason it wasn't appropriate. Like it almost felt too easy, or it felt like you were like, I don't know. Maybe I felt like I had to personally work for it a little more.
I'm a big romantic person. Like I love mushy gushy, love those, just the scenes, those movie scenes. So like, yeah, I definitely love setting up for those types of things. But yeah.
Well, it took a while longer, but I think about a week or so later, we were out in the parking lot after another one of these scheduling meeting sessions. And that's when we had our first kiss at Chynna's car. You want to tell what happened as a result of that?
Yes. Oh, it was such a beautiful kiss. So yeah, we walked out to the car. And then you were saying goodbye, and I think we were like just hugging or something. And then leaned up to the car and started kissing a little bit more, like it was a kiss, and I was like kissing.
Oh yeah.
And then I was just like, you know, those like moments where it's like someone's like heel or their foot lifts because it was like that like fairy tale type of kiss. Well, it was one of those like moments where it's just like it was a magical kiss, and I accidentally dropped the keys that I was holding, and the
to the
kissing
store,
was done.
right?
Well, it was my key set, like it was my set of keys that I had dropped, or maybe it was just that.
Because you drove away, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, I had the key to the store that I was holding, and then like dropped, and then our kissing session ended, and then we said our goodbyes. And then I went home and realized I could not find the key to the store, and realized that I was so in the moment that I dropped it. And yeah, I had to wake up extra early the next morning to go to the parking lot and search for it, which I did. So all is good there.
Well, since then, I think we've been together now 6 years or so. It was, and I even, like an idiot, ended our relationship like after so many months, and then Chynna and I reinitiated our relationship after I realized
there's just so much going on. So like we were both working together, like we were both like really climbing the ladder of the company. Like it was just like so busy, like we were busting our butt, and like it was just so many hours. And then you with your like you had just gotten out of a relationship, and like me with like my whole situation, like you
also were just out of a relationship too.
Yeah, it was a lot. So
I was personally, I think, pretty afraid to commit all over again and get my heart broken. So I was trying to play it light. But after I said like, oh, I just want to focus on doing young art and trying to like really go after it and like grow in this company, because there was like, you know, always there's going to be some conflicts about working side by side and dating and having employees under you. There was just so many things going through our mind. And we were traveling up and down to Seattle, where we were making impressions on other people, and, you know, had to uphold professionalism and stuff. And our boss also was just like ridiculous about that kind of stuff too, like pretended she didn't care, but actually did. So
yeah, it was just really, at the time, I think I totally understood why you wanted to call things off. Of course, it was heartbreaking, but like, I completely understood, but we wanted to remain as friends, which was great, because we're also like, you're my best friend.
I wouldn't even let Chynna call me her boyfriend or anything. Like, it's just so funny how things turn out and how far our relationship has come. And, you know, we're married with a child now. And love each other deeply and always did. I think just after that first break though, like when I realized that we were still best friends, like, and we had hardly known each other for very long. And I already like felt like you were like my best friend. Like we were sitting on the couch going through my old paintings. We were playing Portal together. Like a lot of this stuff happened like in between when we weren't romantic. And then one night while we were playing Portal, it was like the romance came back over us and then we were dating again.
I remember it was this one level in Portal where I could not get through it. And I was just like, help me, help you. Cause we were a team. So help me by helping you, help me. And like in that moment, I think you just like came over and like we kissed again and then boom, we got married.
Yeah, pretty much. Or like 3 or 4 years. No, I proposed to you 2 years later, I think, 2 or 3 after our official date again. And then it was another year.
The timing is all like so strange to me because like when we first, like the whole thing, when we first were together, there was no official, like we're dating now. And then again, when we reinitiated things, like there's no, like we're dating. So yeah, like it's so confusing to know when the official start, but definitely it has been like 6.
On the one hand, that sounds bad to like not keep track of the duration of it. But on the other hand, I feel like it's
natural.
I feel like it's very indicative of like our relationship feels as though it's something that's being lived in the moment.
Yes,
it's
exactly. And that I love that.
Yeah, it's not something where we're trying to like hit a benchmark, a score.
Yeah, no.
We made it 10 years to prove to everyone that like we can deal with each other. It's more like I'm happy right now, and I kind of forget how long it's been of being together, but like it's 6 or 7 years roughly.
It's just that magic like that we have been together for a while, but it really does feel like with you that like I don't know, like it feels like we're still just like dating like that new romance, but at the same time like it feels like we've known each other all our life and has been together for so long, and we have a kid together. So it's like it's that magical balance of like feeling so in love with someone.
It is. And like what's most amazing about it to me is like a lot of people tend to seek out friends and partners that like are very similar to them. And like, I feel like we are so similar. And the other day I was reflecting on that, but weirdly and uniquely, like, I feel like you have such uniquely different traits and qualities to you that make it such a beautiful experience to be around someone that thinks differently than you and acts differently. But then like I said, like this week I was thinking like Chynna and I are so similar. Like the things we like get excited about, want to laugh about, like to joke about, like our energy, like our spazzy energy and stuff sometimes. And like I was thinking like we are so alike. And then following that thought, like in the same breath there, I was kind of like, but we're so different too. Like there's just things that like not in a million years would I expect you to do it my way, or like I could never do it your way on this thing. And like, but those differences tend to be like equally favorite things to me, where I'm like, I feel very inspired and lucky. Like the other day, little example, your new boss was like, hey, I have to have a word with you, Chynna. And like, your mind went to one thing and my mind went to something different, but it was beneficial hopefully for you to hear a different perspective when I was like, maybe you didn't do anything wrong. And even if you did, like, maybe it's actually kind of helpful that they're pointing out a blind spot for you. Yeah. So this is a good thing. And you're like, oh, thank you for like quelling my nerves about that. But like, you do that all the time for me too, when I get so stressed and angry about stuff like this venue, they're not paying us enough for the tickets or whatever. And you'll be like, all right, well, what's a proactive solution we can take here? And I'll just want to vent about it over and over again. And you'll be like, all right, well, let's bring it back down to earth and see how we can actually solve this, like, instead of just complaining about it. And those are just two little examples of just like, we help each other out so much with
We do.
our different perspectives.
We really do. Like that whole thing, the example that you brought up, like it's so easy for me. Like when talking to other people, it's so easy to talk through like, oh, like I don't think it's bad at all. Like there's all these different like things that it could be. But when I get into my own head, like it's so easy for me to become like just drowning of like, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? Or like, I need to be better. Am I good enough? Like those types of thoughts. And like you the other day, just like being so quick to not only say like it might not even be that, but also know that like even if something needs improvement, like that is actually really good and that's really healthy. Like we really do help each other out, but that was an instance where I was like really needing you, and you definitely helped me so much there.
Well, that's what we do for each other.
We do,
and that's what we do for Lucas, and I'm just so grateful, so proud to have you as my wife, and so in love. I love you.
I'm so in love with you. I love you so much.
Well, Miss Chynna McCarthy.
Yes.
It has been an amazing episode. I think this has been one of my favorites yet. It's just it's so natural and easy to talk to, even in this format, that it's just kind of funny that like it doesn't feel awkward. It just like you're in the other room over there, and like
I know, yeah.
But this feels great, and
I love it.
It was really fun to get to touch upon all of your different skills and abilities that you've acquired over the years, and I'll say talents even, because it seems like something that you've had, the whole way through. And I guess that's a whole other discussion there of like, does somebody's talent get catalyzed when they're young and then turn them into that type of person? But in any case, you're so full of gifts, I should just say, that you're constantly giving to the world. So, and to me and to Lucas. But thank you so much for being a guest on the 9th episode of Explorers, helping to diversify. You're the second female.
Oh yeah.
So that's very needed. We need female perspectives, and I love yours, and I love you.
Oh, I love you. Thank you for having me. This is so much fun. We should definitely do it again, but maybe reverse the roles where I get to really interview you and like dive deep into Benjamin and Dream Shark.
I haven't had the tables flipped like that yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's do that in season 2 of Explorers. Once I'm done with these first 10, we'll do a little break, and then a new 10 will come out for season 2.
Brilliant. I love it.
I'll see you back on here, baby.
All right. See you in just a minute. I'm really hungry, so we should go grab some lunch.
Hungry.
Let's do this. Okay. Love you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Oh, bye.